We're Craig and Kirsty, a full-time travel couple sharing our adventures here on YouTube. We upload new travel content every week from different parts of the world. Right now we're making our way through the entire country of Argentina and exploring everything it has to offer. If you enjoy seeing new places and real experiences, please subscribe and welcome to the adventures of Tied Knot Travellers.
Hello everybody and welcome to another video here in Argentina. So as you may have seen a few months ago, we did a love and hate video that was specific to Buenos Aires, and now we've travelled around the whole of Argentina. We wanted to do one specifically for Argentina.
Yeah, that one was really helpful for everyone, so we're told, so we thought we'd do this for you now that we've seen everything. So it's never easy to talk about the things that you hate, so as did in the last one, we'll talk about the things that we absolutely loved first of all, because we are, you know, happy, positive people and we had a great time, so much easier.
Start off on a good note, good
yeah.
Positive note.
Yeah, so we've obviously had an insane time and we are so lucky to have travelled the country of Argentina, but we are nature lovers, so we're going to start off with our number one thing that we really loved, and that is, you know, something we travel for, of course. The scenery in Argentina is incredible. Like, anyone who has been to Argentina and stepped outside of any of the cities will realise just whichever direction you go in, the scenery will just literally knock you sideways. It's incredible.
Obviously Argentina is a huge country. It's quite narrow, but north to south it's thousands of miles. So we started off in Buenos Aires and we went up to the northeast where you've got Iguazu National Park, and up there it's essentially jungle and it is stunning. We saw so much life in those 2 days, so much nature in comparison to other places that we went in Argentina.
So the scenery up there just absolutely blew our mind. Walking along the boardwalk on the Argentinian side and looking down at the Devil's Throat, or the Garganta del Diablo, is just mind-blowing scenery. And if you're planning like a really short trip to Argentina and you want to squeeze something in, and you're only staying in BA, hop on a flight up to Iguazu and just see this, because I can't, like, my eyes, like, I feel just wow, just seeing that. Like, there's nothing like seeing that up close. So after Iguazu, we took a bus and a plane to get down to Ushuaia, which is the southernmost city in the world, and we explore the Tierra del Fuego region, which is incredible. Patagonia, oh, just, you know, it's famous for a reason. Everyone needs to see Patagonia at least once in their life.
It's got everything. The Beagle Channel, so we went out on a boat trip and saw seals and the lighthouse at the end of the world, and we did a separate trip to Isla Martillo to walk with penguins. It was so cool being on this little island with 10,000 penguins, and also seeing the tour guides who are so passionate about conserving that place and making sure that it's untouched. There's so much down at Ushuaia, national parks, the Beagle Channel, mountain hikes, lagoons. It's spectacular.
Yeah, and then we travelled up to El Calafate and El Chalten, and of course the famous Perito Moreno in El Calafate is mind-blowing.
Epic. Seeing
ice carving anywhere in the world is cool, but just to see the perfect equilibrium of Perito Moreno and how it does its thing. Like, good job, nature. Good job.
It is so vast and like nothing you'll ever see.
Yeah.
Well, you'll barely see anywhere else in the world.
And then all the hikes in El Chalten. Climbing to Mount Fitzroy is still the toughest hike I think I've ever done, but so worth it. It's just how long it goes on, and then for the toughest bit near the top, we got rained on, which was pretty unfortunate. But all of that is instantly forgotten the second you come over that peak and you just get your first look at Fitzroy with its beautiful turquoisey blue lagoons at the bottom, and it's you just literally takes your breath away, not just because you're exhausted.
And we saw it on a really ominous misty day where the peaks would, you could just see them through the clouds.
Yeah.
But yeah, that hike we'd recommend doing it over 2 days.
Yeah, you can camp part way up, and a lot of people do that and get up there nice and early. And Craig really liked the fact that they were like, how rustic it was. There were sticks there.
In Tierra del Fuego and the El Chalten region, at the start of the trails, they have a load of like deadfall, but they're still strong sticks that you can just pick up and use as walking sticks.
Yeah.
Saves on luggage space and weight.
Yeah. So then after that area, we kind of made our way up through Bariloche, which has got the lakes, which are incredible. And we were lucky enough to hire cars and drive through and enjoy it at our leisure, which was definitely a good way to do it. And Saquito Chico, all the hikes and just...
And the Seven Lakes route
was
just
beautiful. Yeah. So yeah, the scenery has blown our mind. But going up to the north, if you've seen any of our recent videos, you'll just see how much the north completely... When you think, how can it get more beautiful than Patagonia? And we've had the treat of Iguazu already. How can this get any better? Is it even worth going to the north? I see people saying all the time. Yes, absolutely. Like seeing the Fletchers and seeing the salt flats and seeing the 14 coloured mountains and just all the little desert towns there. Just the scenery and just don't forget the vineyards and the wineries. those are pretty beautiful to see as well. So yeah.
Yeah, Mendoza and Salta are kind of a bit more dry and arid and more like desert areas. But yeah, absolutely stunning. And
I've just literally spent months driving and walking and hiking around Argentina, just constantly going, wow, wow, looking at everything. But yeah, so definitely scenery is our, like, one of our number one things. I mean, you go travelling to see things, right? So of course scenery is going to be high. But our second thing here in Argentina that we have absolutely loved, and we said this about BA, but we've obviously now travelled and met even more people, and they are just so lovely. And honestly, I know if we did a video recently where you see we didn't have such a good experience, but the thing is, people always say, oh, people are going to be nice to you, you're tourists, you're spending money. We're not just talking about people we're spending money with. And if you saw that video recently, in fact, someone we were spending money with wasn't that nice to us. But 99% of the people we've met in Argentina have been lovely. We've had fantastic taxi drivers. Big up Franco in El Calafate and Gustavo in Iguazu, best taxi drivers.
When we were up in Iguazu, we were wondering how we were going to get across to the Brazilian side.
Yeah.
Most people got the bus, but we were kind of, at the time, COVID was a factor in getting across the border. So we were thinking if there's a whole busload of people, it's going to take a while to process everyone. So we went with Gustavo. It's just the three of us in the car. He helped us. He sang to us across the border.
It was brilliant.
He was so friendly.
So we're going to Brazil.
Sang Brazil. It was really fun.
Blue and white and then yellow and green.
No,
Brazil!
Now
I was a bit worried that he wouldn't wait for us, so when we came back out of the park, would he be there? But he was there.
It was awesome.
And his communication was
He's walking
great.
across the park, waving at us like, guys. And
Yeah, did
we
you
were
have
so
a good day? Like, I hope
Let's
you
get
had
you
a
back in a
fantastic
taxi.
time. And Franco as well, when we arrived in El Calafate, we got dropped off from our airport transfer and Google Maps took us to the wrong place. And we walked inside to ask for help to find where our accommodation was, and Franco was there. He overheard what we were saying and he offered to take us to our accommodation free of charge.
Yeah, he wouldn't take any money.
And we offered him money. Yeah, he wouldn't take any. We ended up going with him to take us to Perito Moreno.
Yeah.
Smoothest driver, just such
Lovely
a chilled guy. Have a nice chat with him. And he played great music as well. He's got good taste in music.
When we mentioned before about how much we like the people, for us, it's the behind the scenes stuff that we don't necessarily have on camera. It's the staying in Airbnbs and living in buildings and stuff and meeting the locals and the neighbours that we've stayed with, ones who've just done little things like helped us out, giving us lighters when our ovens wouldn't work and getting things, just helping us. And a really key thing is just being in lifts with people, seeing families and just how cute the kids are and chatting to us and wanting to speak English with us and helping us, because a lot of security staff in the buildings that we've stayed in don't always speak a lot of English, and our Spanish is just not good enough.
And in the time we're trying to figure things out with them and communicate, someone who lives there walks in
and they're like, I speak English,
I can
I help.
yeah.
And just how lovely they are, and they like go out of their way to help us. And then there's been examples where we've been on our way out the next day or something and someone's gone past and been like, do you need anything? And they just give us helpful, friendly tips. And just when we've been in the street and we've spoken to locals, there's nothing in it for them. They're just nice, friendly people, the Argentinians. And that has been the scenario for us. Actually, not even 99% of the time, 100% of the time. We have not met one grumpy local. Like I said, the only one negative experience we've really had with people was up at Salinas Grandes, which was just one unfortunate thing. But literally everybody else we've met, locals or tour guides or taxi drivers, everything, they've just been so welcoming and so lovely. Okay, so the third thing that we've absolutely loved about Argentina that has really surprised us has been the food. I don't want to go on about it too much because obviously just did a video on that and what it's been like to travel the entire country of Argentina as a vegetarian and a meat eater, but we've both been pleasantly surprised because of the fact that I'm vegetarian and Craig isn't. It means that we sometimes are not looking for either a vegetarian place or a meat eater place. We need both. We need something that means that, you know, he's not going to go without and I'm not going to have to live off of carbs and vegetables.
I don't always eat meat, by the way. I try and keep down my meat consumption and I do a bit of both. But sometimes when you've had lots of days without a proper meal or you've been doing lots of physical activity, I'm like, okay, I need a substantial meal now. And we absolutely loved the mercados in Argentina. They were fantastic because it just meant that we could cover both bases, going to one place where there's so many different food outlets. We love that in any country, but Argentina's mercados are fantastic.
Yeah.
San Telmo and Palomo Soho mercados are fantastic.
Yeah, being able to just walk in, smell all this amazing food, and then we kind of just wander around together looking at stuff and then go, right, I'm going to go for this one, you're going to go for that one. Yeah, okay, right.
See you in 5 minutes.
Go order our food, get our buzzers, and then meet back, and it's like both super happy, options everywhere, and then go and get ourselves a nice drink from somewhere. Just, they were a lot of fun, and the atmosphere as it goes later into the night, super fun, especially in Palermo, Soho, of course. So yeah, they are the top 3 things we have loved. The scenery, the people, and the food in Argentina have just exceeded our expectations. Like, incredible. So now we're going to go and talk about the things that we hated. I hate saying that word, but you know, saying the things that you really loved and then slightly didn't like doesn't really have the same ring to it. So you have to do love and hate.
You hate hate.
Hate.
There's your first hate. Hating hate.
But no, of course, there were some things about Argentina that we definitely disliked very strongly. I have to look them up. So, okay, one thing we get asked about a lot, and we have to put as a hate, is car hire. Car hire in Argentina is extortionate, and you do not get given a good car or even a fair car for the price you have to pay. We tried so hard and we did so much research ahead of getting to places, and when we arrived in places we literally were just walking around for we give ourselves a day just to figure things out, and we were just walking around to car rental after car rental after car rental to try and find the best way to do things, and yeah, we ended up, at no point did we get a car for anything cheaper than £40 a day, which is higher than you pay in most European places to hire a car for the day. And we don't mind. We're not saying that £40 itself is extortionate. That's fine, right? You can kind of make your peace with that. But then if you're going to pay £40 a day, you expect a decent car, and you don't always get a decent car. We kind of were lucky on a few of our occasions. We ended up with some okay cars, but that was more luck, because we would arrive having paid for the cheapest car of £40 and got given an upgrade. So that's the only reason, if you've seen our videos, you think, oh, they're complaining about the cars are okay. Yeah, that was luck. We weren't due those cars, and it didn't always happen to us. We got given some awful cars.
The cars we did get, you would pay half that price for.
Yeah.
For example, in Europe, we were only very unfortunate one time with the standard of the car, and it was in the Salta region where cars are put through their paces with the altitude and the climate there. So
yeah,
we were very fortunate in that sense that we only had bad luck once with a car.
Yeah, but we prefer to hire a car, especially when you're in beautiful places like this and when the places are vast. We like to just go at our own pace and see things. But yeah, a lot of people message us about what it's like driving in Argentina. And to be honest, as we both found, not that easy at times, like borders and things made it very stressful. Again, when you've paid a lot of money to hire a car for the day and you've got 8 hours of daylight the time of year we were there, and you're trying to cram in and get to these sites, and they are long distances, so you set off as early as you can, as early as the car hire place will give you the car, so that puts you at sort of between 8 and 9 a.m. as it is. So then you get going, and then you are just slowed down at different points because of stupid random border things, even though you're not trying to cross a border, and just random checks, and you think, really? And you have to just queue for 30 to 45 minutes, and you think, we've got such limited time, and we're here once in our life, and we paid a fortune to be here, and for no reason at all, they just, and then they literally get to your window and go, yeah, tourist, okay, go then, and it's like, really?
Yeah, the main 2 days were on the in Mendoza when we did the Trans-Andean Highway, so you're driving west towards Chile, and there were so many checkpoints, and there was one that we were sat at for the best part of an hour.
So annoying.
And it did mean that we couldn't get to see the statue of Christ Redentor.
Yeah,
and on the Seven Lakes route from Bariloche, we wanted to go and see this waterfall, and there was a checkpoint before you got to the border, several kilometres from the border, that stopped us from getting to the entrance to see that waterfall. Yeah. It's just frustrating, like Kirsty said, when you're there once, maybe in your entire life, that's your only chance to see it.
And you paid a lot of money to see it all.
It just seemed to be more restrictive in the border areas for some reason.
Yeah. So yeah, that was definitely something that we hated. It was stressful. Each time we needed to hire a car, it was like, here we go. So I know I'd love to tell you all that it's really great, and a lot of groups that we're part of, like WhatsApp and Facebook groups, everyone is always constantly talking about, why is car hire so expensive? How are people doing it? And it's like, Sorry, it just is that expensive. I know
Yeah.
it's crazy, and a lot of people are trying to like meet up with other travellers to try and share the
club
costs.
together.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which is a good idea. I can see why people do it because the scenery is amazing, and you don't always want to be schlepped around on these tours. You do get a bit toured out in this part of the world because you have to do so many tours unless you're willing to drive or you've got someone who can drive.
For us as well, videoing, it's really hard to film on tours
Yeah.
because you're rushed around. We need that extra bit of time, but that's why we like to get our own car.
Yeah, and we
'cause
feel
need
bad
that
on
bit more
tours
time.
then being like,
and so
"Ooh."
that you see a viewpoint on a spectacular drive,
Yeah.
and we can stop off to film it. Whereas on a
Yeah.
tour,
You can't always.
that's not always possible.
Also, we are very lucky because both of us enjoy driving. Oh, that is actually a positive thing I should say about driving here. I know this is the hate section, but I can't help it positive. You do automatically, which is something you don't get in Europe, automatically you get 2 people insured. So although Craig does like 90% of driving because
Yeah.
he loves driving, it means that automatically you don't have to pay any extra to insure a second person. So that's
Yeah.
great. So if we're trying to do any shots or anything and I need to drive for any reason, I can.
Yeah, we were surprised to hear that, weren't we?
Oh, it was just so
Yeah.
nice because he was like,
Refreshing.
"Oh, have you got like the first place we went to? She got her driving license," and I was like, "Oh, how much will it be?" And he's like, "No, just put your driving license on and you can drive as well." I was like, "Fantastic, we can both drive." But
So
it makes sense. I
that
think
was
because
really
the distances are so vast here that it's just assumed that we're going to split the driving, which we don't. He loves it.
I can
I
drive
would do
all day and all night.
But yeah, he just loves it. So the second thing that we obviously don't like and nobody likes is the cash situation in Argentina because just it's added. We've said about this before. I feel like we're saying the same things, but we get asked about it. So this is definitely one of the things we've hated during our months in Argentina. It's just been an absolute pet peeve. The cash situation in Argentina is improving, and as our last video, if you read the comment section there's some things coming up. I don't know how true they all are, but things are supposed to be getting easier. But the trying to chase that blue dollar rate so that you can actually afford to do anything in Argentina is pretty crazy. Having to use cash for everything makes it really difficult, and you need to allow extra time in each place that you go to because you need a day to arrive there, get some cash if you can even do it. Sometimes it takes longer than a day to get cash out. It's insane. Because in places like El Calafate, for example, we get there's 2 Western Unions where you have to go get your cash out. And there's big lines, everyone's lining up because everyone has to get the cash out there. And they run out of cash. And
they both have a limit.
And they have a limit.
both
You can
have
only
a
get
cash
80,000 paces out in one and 60,000 paces out in another, which sounds like a lot, but it's not. Not when you're in El Calafate and a tour costs you like 30,000. It's like, well, that's most of it gone for 2 people. It's like, there you go. That's if you've got the 60,000 out, it's gone.
And one of the days I stood in the Western Union queue for 6 hours. I'm not joking. It was just under 6 hours, and it was so painful. And we had gone from El Calafate to El Shelton. We thought we had plenty of money to cover our time there, food, accommodation, and our bus going on to Bariloche. But we weren't expecting the extortionate price of that bus to Bariloche.
Yeah.
And we couldn't cover that, plus the extra nights we had to stay in El Shelton because they didn't have seats available on a bus for another few days.
Yeah.
So we had to go
Really
back to
screws
El
over.
Calafate, spend more money. I think we stayed there another 3 nights and
4
had
nights
to
it was.
queue in Western Union again.
So Craig was queuing in multiple queues to try and get some cash out, whilst I was running around trying to sort everything else out, trying to figure out a new accommodation for us because we'd had to take the bus back last minute. I mean, if you haven't seen that video, I'll link it above because it was quite funny. We tried to hitchhike because we were so low on cash at that point.
Yeah.
We tried to hitchhike, failed on that, got the last 2 seats on a bus, back to
Had
Calafate.
just enough money as well to get that bus
insane.
back to El Calafate.
I was like, what? This is all because of the financial situation here. Like,
Yeah.
And we had considered just taking the hit and paying it and using the official rate and paying on card. But when we worked it out, I was like, that is such an insane amount of money difference. It actually would be cheaper for us to take the bus back to Calafate and stay there for a few nights while we sort out the money situation. The trouble is that in that time, the buses were then booked up, so we had to stay 4 nights. So even with that though, it still worked out cheaper. It's just annoying because it wastes your days. Yeah.
But also for us, time really is money because the work we do, we need to be sat in front of a laptop, and those hours mean that we're not earning money.
Speaking of buses, that brings us to the next thing that we obviously hated in Argentina. So we definitely had to go on more buses than we had anticipated. We did take a few flights, like we said earlier. We did take a flight from BA down to Ushuaia, and we took a flight from Ushuaia over to El Calafate. Other than that, we took buses everywhere, everywhere to get get between everywhere. So we definitely have some bus experience in Argentina, to say the least.
I thought you were going to say we definitely have some bus PTSD.
Yeah, we do, that too. But,
Most of the buses were absolutely fine in terms of standard. The really good one we took was from Iguazu back to BA
Yeah,
before
that was
we
the
flew
best.
down to Ushuaia. That was a lovely, comfortable bus. We
that
had a
was
great
Via
seat.
Bariloche.
Via
So if you can go
Bariloche.
with them, good
Yeah.
job, well done.
And we thought, brilliant, if this is the standard, we'll just
Yeah,
go
it's
with
gonna be
Via
nice.
Bariloche everywhere. But they weren't doing all the routes that we needed.
No.
And so the buses were generally good. And then there was the bus that we got from El Calafate to Bariloche, which
Yeah.
Kirsty loved.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. I mean, basically when you're travelling around Argentina, you think, oh, I'll just take a flight, it'll be easier. First of all, again, just like with the car hire, the flights in Argentina are surprisingly expensive. Like, again, it's something that lots of travellers talk about in the Facebook and WhatsApp groups, like how are people getting around, it's so expensive. Basically, on the whole, travel in Argentina is your biggest cost and the most awkward thing to do. Just trying to get around is difficult. Hiring cars and plane tickets are just the most expensive things. So people are all trying to car share and not take flights.
Plus all the flights go back via BA,
Yeah.
or 90% of them seem to. So even if you're going from Bariloche up to Mendoza, you've got to go all the way across to BA to then go back again.
So you end up losing quite a bit of time anyway, and you think, okay, we'll just take the bus. So we did a lot of buses, and generally they are quite a bit cheaper. The one that wasn't so much cheaper was, of course, the one that caught us out in the most bottlenecked part of the country, which was getting from Calafate up to Bariloche, because they had the most expensive bus there, and it was so in demand that everyone was booking it constantly, so it was always full. Anyway, so we got on that bus, and it was the most disgusting bus that we've been on in Argentina, and it was the
tired
longest
old
bus. So yeah, we had the guy smoking away, the driver smoking, everyone shouting at him and getting annoyed. The toilet absolutely stank, and we unfortunately had booked the last 2 seats because this bus is super busy, and we didn't want to wait in El Calafate any longer. We'd already delayed ourselves and waited there 4 days for this bus ticket, and so we had to book the last 2 tickets, which were right behind the toilet, and oh my gosh, it was just rank.
And with the bus hire, the car hire and the flights, you have to book it all in person as well to get the blue rate. So obviously that takes up some time to actually be there in person to go and book it.
Yeah.
Anywhere else you would just kind of book it online and pay that price, and then it's done within an hour or so of you going on the computer.
So we got ourselves into a really good routine. Every time we arrived in a new city or a new area, we would literally get there off of an exhausting overnight bus and go straight to the next bus company that we knew we were going to have to get out of there. Because that's the other thing, you can't choose which bus company you're going to go with, it's just whichever one's doing that route. So you don't get to choose, oh, I just want to go with Via Bariloche, they're nice. No, you've got to go in Margataxa, you've got to go with whoever's taking you on that bus route. So yeah, we would get there, and straight away that day, we would book our ticket for 5, 6, 7, 8 days in time, so that we had it there, we paid for it in cash, we knew it was booked, it wouldn't get sold out. But the trouble with that is, of course, you lose the flexibility. It's like, right, well, we've only got this many days in this place, we have to go then.
Unless you wanted to lose that money.
But the reason we did it that way was because otherwise we would then leave the bus station, get a taxi to where we were staying, and then decide in a few days we want to go, and then you'd have to pay for a taxi to come back out to the bus station, buy a ticket and get a taxi back again. So it's like all the extra cost because you've got to do stuff in person, you can't just book it online. It just costs you so much money because of that's the cash situation's fault really. But yeah, it did just make the whole process very stressful, and just being on a bus for anything more than a few hours is just not nice, is it? And
that's the main problem with the buses.
Like this
Argentina's huge, and the buses on
Rattling
average were like
around.
20 hours, and that is the main problem. Being on a bus overnight for that long is it really drains you mentally and physically. And I felt quite headachy after arriving.
To do an overnight bus and arriving at the accommodation the next day, you just feel messed up because you've not had a good sleep. It's not like an aeroplane where it's smooth. You're literally being rocked around like that the whole time, and it's just crazy. And then you kind of, the next day, we just walk around like zombies. And of course, we'd arrive in a new place, you've got new surroundings to deal with, you've got to get some food in, and you're just like, what? So we would basically lose the next day when we arrived in a place. So we always had to give ourselves extra time to allow for that. That day was basically a survive it, find a Western Union to get some cash, get some food in, and just try not to do anything too stupid while you're in such a zombie state.
When you're feeling at your worst as well.
And you're like, what?
Tough arriving.
And people are looking at you like, what? It's just, strange feeling. So yeah, the buses are tough, but you know what? You've got to bring your adventurous spirit and do it. Or you've got to bring a good credit card so you can do the flights.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they are the things we hated about it, but we wouldn't change anything about the route that we took. We loved the route, the things we saw, totally worth all the effort. Yeah, thank you, Argentina. It's been awesome.
Amazing. The only thing we wish we could have had is our own camper van.
Yeah.
Driving up through it, that would have been
That
perfect.
would be dreamy, yeah. But yeah, Argentina, we loved it a lot more than we hated it. That is the main thing. So before we go, just one little thing I wanted to do. Just gonna put Craig on the spot now. What was your number one thing in Argentina? Like the moment, that place and that moment.
It's very easy. When we turned up to Perito Moreno, it's, again, like nothing I've ever seen before. Absolutely incredible. This huge, vast glacier, the mountains either side, the different colours, the contrast between the white ice and the blues in there, and the dark rock around it. Absolutely spectacular. If you go to one place in Argentina, my advice would be go to Perito Moreno.
Okay, nice. Yeah, I like that option because anyone can get to Perito Moreno. You don't have to hike it, you don't have to have high fitness levels, you can just go there. So that's, I like that option.
Yes, the walkways are disabled friendly and everything.
Yeah.
So. And how about you? What was your top moment in Argentina?
So for me personally, and it's a moment that not everyone can do because if you don't like hiking, you're not going to do this. As much as I whinged about this hike when I was doing it and I hated it, getting to Fitzroy, that moment we got up there, I mean, I hated that last hour, getting soaked and not having the right clothes for it, only having a thick coat. It was hot. Walking up there, I hated it. But just shortly after my worst moment came my best moment. As we got over the peak and I was walking, I looked and there was a condor that flew below us. I saw the wingspan of the top of a condor. And I was just, in that moment, I literally got goosebumps, and not just because I was getting rained on and cold, but I was just like, oh my gosh, this is insane. And then from looking at that condor, I then looked over and saw Fitzroy. And that moment, I literally was like, wow, this is why I just put myself through that pain. And then seeing the scenery of Fitzroy just...
The landscape is so vast. Laguna de los Tres is up here, and Laguna Suture, I think, is a long way down there, and then you've just got Fitzroy
just so dramatic.
rising above you and the glaciers.
So yeah,
Wow.
There you go. That was my number one moment from Argentina. It's really hard to just pick one, but that does stick with me, that one. I've seen some insane things, but yeah, that one got me.
Yeah.
But yeah, hope you've enjoyed it. Hope it's been helpful to learn what we've loved and hated about Argentina. Obviously, the overall take-home from our trip in Argentina has been that we've absolutely loved it.
Incredible country.
It's one of those countries that we're really excited to go and see. In post-pandemic, we couldn't wait to get out there and do it. And again, trip of a lifetime.
The culture in Argentina is such an authentic country as well. It's got everything. It is stunning. Absolutely stunning.
Yeah. Hope you've enjoyed the video, and we will see you very soon for some more adventures in this part of the world. And yeah, don't forget to give us a thumbs up.
And don't forget to subscribe as well. Thank you so much for watching.
Thanks for
And we'll see you on the next one.
Bye.
Adios.
Bye.